5, 4, 3, 2.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. We're gonna go ahead and let you guys kind of get settled in. We're so excited about today. We have some very exciting things planned. And happy International Women's Day. I hope you're wearing red or some fabulous color, just celebrating the wonderful journey that women have been through. I spoke to my mother this morning and we were discussing her specific journey of leaving her home country and coming to America and what that experience was like. And so I'm really, really excited to hear the several, the panelists that we have here today. We heard from our keynote, Ilia Calderon, and she discussed her own journey of leaving Colombia and coming to America. This is such an important topic that we often do not discuss. So I'm so excited that we can begin this journey and addressing some untold truths and what those experiences are like, and hopefully come together and find ways that we can address some of these problems, but also celebrate some of the victories of these personal journeys. So we'll go on to our next slide. If you guys don't know me already, my name is Lori Thibodeau, and I am the president for the National Association of Latino Healthcare Executives, the DFW chapter. And our mission is really to promote health equity among the Latino communities by increasing Latino and Latinas in the healthcare system and addressing some of the policy, legislation, and regulations that affect healthcare and making a diverse workforce. So it's our goal and our vision to expand this discussion and really promote health equity. And I hope you guys who are on here will also support us on this cause. As we discussed, our keynote speaker, Ilia Calderon, came on earlier today, and she spoke to us, and she just spoke those truths to us that we sometimes don't even discuss. So I'm really excited about that. If you want to catch that, you can go on to our LinkedIn page and see that recording. Tonight we're going to bring on our panelists, and they're also going to be speaking about those truths. So I'd like to welcome in, next slide. I'd like to thank our 2021 sponsors. It's thanks to them and their support for our organization that we're able to produce this programming, as well as continue to address health equity and our cause for, bringing more diversity into the workplace. Okay. So with all of that being said, I hope you guys enjoy tonight's session. Take a picture, post it, tag us on the National Association of Latino Healthcare Executives. We'd love to see what your takeaways are. Use the hashtag NALHE and NALHE. And we'll be drawing a winner tonight and those winners will receive Ilia Calderon's book, My Time to Speak. So now I'd like to introduce you a very special person, Mercedes Flores. Mercedes Flores will be giving us a wonderful reflection of womanhood. Mercedes?
Hi everyone, I'm very happy to be with you today, and I will be sharing a poem to honor International Women's Day. Women are fierce, they are powerful, no matter what language they speak, how they dress, or the work they choose to do. What matters is they have a choice and the freedom to carve out a life for themselves. As long as we know women who are strong and resilient, we must respect them, carry them forward, lift them up, for they are the product of all our other selves. The women we were, the ones we strive to be, the collective struggle of our mothers, our sisters, our daughters. Our salvation will only come if we stand together. Today, we honor the women of all times and all places, women of courage, women of hope, women suffering, women mourning, women living fully, women experiencing joy, women delighting in life, women leading the transformation of unjust global structures, women seeking wisdom, women sharing wisdom, women receiving love, women life-giving, women who have dared to dream big ever since they were little girls. Today, we celebrate for that diversity and talent, for the courage and determination that prevent us from falling apart. On this day, let's honor every woman of the world, for they are special, they are powerful, they are unique. Thank you.
Thank you, Mercedes. That was very beautiful. Women are powerful. They are beautiful. They are strong. They are resilient. To all of the women who have come before and made a pathway for us here now, I thank you. It's truly a blessing to be in this time period, and it's all because of you. With further ado, I'd like to introduce to you Julissa Tellez, and she will be our moderator for this evening. Julissa Tellez is a Senior Director of Strategy and Development at E4H Environments of Health Architecture. Interestingly enough, she first attended Texas A&M as a biomedical engineering student with the intent to be a surgeon. Coupled with her love for designing environments that support health and well-being, she immediately switched her major to architecture and has naturally dedicated her career into healthcare specialized design. Her work has taken her from master planning major academic medical centers such as UC Health in Colorado to small community hospitals and renovations in both the for-profit and nonprofit sectors, with healthcare systems such as Children's Health and CHS Community Health Systems. On a national level, Julissa is responsible for the identification and realization of the new projects and the drivers of new business. She is an active and guiding member of E4H Diversity Task Force for Women Resolve and Diversity, and volunteers in her community as a mentor for underprivileged youth interested in the AEC profession. Welcome, Julissa.
Well, thank you very much, Lori. That was quite an introduction. Again, Lori and NALHE, thank you very much for the opportunity to moderate and really hear the stories of these amazing women. As Lori mentioned earlier, this is part two of a series that earlier today we did with Ilia Calderon. And so again, I'm very excited to be here and honored to hear these stories of these amazing women, coming to America and really, the fear, courage, and triumph that they've encountered. And so again, without further ado, I'd like to introduce our panelists. And so first up is Irma Penalosa. Irma, hi. So just one of the things that I realized when, I was reading the bios and we were talking was all these women have a common denominator. And it is that not only do they do one thing at their profession, they have 10 other things. And so I almost was like, hey, can I do a little bit of a short bio? I'm not sure how to do a short bio on you ladies because there's just so much. But one of the key things about Irma is that she has been at Christus Health for 35 years. And in those 35 years, she has worked in various positions. And she also oversees the international Christus Health organizations in the human resource aspect of the organization. So welcome, Irma. We also have Vanessa Pedraza. Vanessa? Hi. So Vanessa came to the country in 1999 at the age of 15. She has had a steady, fast career. She went to nursing school, graduated, and during her time at Texas Health, she also has been getting promoted quite a bit. Her first promotion, well, not her first promotion, but her executive promotion was in July of 2018, then another one in 2019, and she now oversees the ED Department Emergency Services for Health Resources Frisco as of last month, Vanessa. So congratulations on your new promotion. You're on mute. I'm actually, I feel like we should.
Last week.
Well, congratulations.
Thank
do
you.
feel like maybe we should do a poll of how many times I'm going to say, you're on mute. And last but not least, we also have Dr. Nora Gimple. Hi, Nora. So Dr. Nimble is an associate professor and the vice chair of community health in the Department of Family and Community Medicine at UT Southwestern. She serves on numerous boards and is a director of more than I can pronounce. She has a list of 20. A couple of them is director of the medical school's community health scholarly actively and distinction tracks. She's also director of the community medicine fellowship program. In addition, she serves on the board of the Society of Students Run Free Clinics and also on the board of North Texas Alliance to Reduce Teen Pregnancy. Not only that, Dr. Gimple also in 2018 was awarded the Dr. John L. and Louise Roan Profession in Family Medicine. And in 2016, she also held the fellowship for Leadership Award for the Alpha Omega. And in 2015, she earned the Exemplary Teaching Award for the Texas Academy of Family Physicians. And that's only the beginning. She has about 15 other community service engagements that she's involved with. So welcome, Nora.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And so, like I mentioned earlier, it was very honored to be here and really excited to hear your stories. I know that we had, we've all spoken a little bit with one another and together. And so I can't begin to say that there's a common denominator here. And so again, very excited to have you on board. And one of the things that we're going to do, we're probably going to have about 45 to 50 minutes of questions, and then we will have a poll, and then we're also going to do about 15 minutes of Q&A. We also have somebody overlooking our chat. So if there's any questions, please feel free to ask them throughout. We will be coordinating that, and we will be selecting a couple of people throughout to answer your questions. So let's go ahead and get started here. And I'm not going to call on any names. I'm just going to go ahead and open up the panel as I ask these questions. So please feel free to answer these questions that best fit you. So let me get myself situated. So I'm looking at some inspiring and successful women. My first question to you is, what is it in your personal journey that has motivated you to be where you are now?
I will start.
I'm Vanessa, and I will say what has really motivated me here. I came to this country when I was 15 years old from Colombia, and my grandmother raised me, and I lived with her. And we really had no opportunities. We had really nothing to hold us there. And I took a leap of faith. I decided to come to the States. I actually started in New Jersey, and my whole goal was let me learn English, let me save some money because you know that United States is the country of opportunities. Let me be able to save some money and go back home, and I'm able to get a better job because I speak another language. And that was like my whole drive, my motivation. Then of course, God throws things to your path, and I met my husband right now. His name is Jason, and I got pregnant as a teenager. And my motivation kind of changed. It became this little boy named Anthony that drove me, and all I wanted to do was make him proud and I wanted him to see me as a role model. So I wanted to become someone. So it went from my grandma and my son really motivating me to get where I am now. I was the first one in my family that graduated from college, and that meant a lot to me. It meant a lot to me that my son could see that, and that I wanted him to realize that college was not a choice. It is an expectation, and because that's what I want to lead. I want to lead my family to get to that point. Um, when it comes to satisfaction, I feel that I'm very satisfied with my life. I love my life. I feel so blessed in every kind of way. But I will never turn down any opportunity of learn, of growth, not only in my work life, but in my personal life. I want to be a good person all around, a good human being. So that's what I think.
Thank you, Vanessa. I think one of the things that you mentioned was family. And so I'd like to open this up a little bit more to the other panelists. I know that you mentioned that you came when you were 15 years old. And so, I don't want to pick on you, Nora, but I know you came here at a later age. And I would like to get your input and and get your perspective on, what inspired you to be here. Same question for you as well.
Thank you. Well, a little bit different, right? I mean, I came here as an adult. I came to United States 20 years ago. I came from Argentina, and unfortunately, at that time in 2001, we had a horrible economic crisis in Argentina. One of the that we had. So the needs were different than Vanessa was saying. So I came to United States. I was already a physician. I was practicing. I have many friends. I have many patients, and I was working as a physician, as a researcher, as a teacher in an academic institution. My husband came first here to find other ways. We were very frustrated in Argentina, living in that society, and then months later I came, and I was very sad. I mean, I left all my patients, I left my family, but at the beginning, we were trying to find our network. We start meeting new people that became immediately sort of our family here. Our friends, this very bubble friends, became our family, and then we start increasing, and we have our family now here. I don't have any other family members with us except my husband and my kids, and so it was an interesting journey, but that started 20 years ago. So yeah, different story than Vanessa, but very interested in a way of taking risk. I remember one mentor, we were talking with one mentor one day, and then I said something about risk. And I said, I don't know if I really take risk. And then she said, well, hello, you came here 20 years ago, you had to start all over again. I mean, I kind of started my career again. I had to study for the test. And I mean, there was not a reciprocity between the medical, fields. So I have to do the test and get the boards and then get a medical license and all the stuff again. So she said, well, hello, have you noticed that?
So you definitely are a risk taker, whether you believe that you are or not, which takes me to, I like to throw this back to either Irma, Vanessa, or yourself. One of the things that we've kind of, it's difficult a little bit to articulate because it's such a touchy subject, right? Are you ever satisfied, or are you always striving for more because you came here from another country? Open the floor to you three.
So I feel that I'm usually very happy with any opportunity that I get. And I always strive to be the best out of whatever opportunity I'm at that moment. So, I give you an example. The first time that I became a charge nurse in an emergency department, I wasn't thinking about where this is going to take me. I was thinking about how can I be the best person in this role? How can I shine? How can they realize that, I'm really good at it, so I could do it more? Because, it's a little competition of who's charged today, who's not charged today. And it has to be the person that runs that emergency department and is fast and is, just the best at it. And that's what I did. And then when I got the great opportunity to be a supervisor, I just focused on being the best of being a supervisor. How can I be the best supervisor ever? And then I became a manager and I opened an emergency department. And yes, the opportunities, it wasn't that I wasn't satisfied. It was more that the opportunity was presenting yourself, and why not try? Why not give it my all, like I always do for everything? And I did. And as a manager, we opened this ED and I love it. And it's my baby, it's my everything. And I got this new opportunity and I just felt so incredibly blessed that, that I was growing so fast. And now I'm like, I need to learn so much because I know nothing about being a director. And I'm like, oh my God, are you sure I should even have that title? But
no, you should have that title. I'm going to stop you right there because that kind of takes us a little bit into further questions that I would love to get your input on as we move along. So the other, and you bring up a really good, I'm definitely going to ping you on it. One of the other things is, you left. How was it leaving your country? What was it like to leave your family and everybody behind to come over here? We talked about your journey a little bit.
So I had a purpose. So I think that was the great thing. My purpose was not to leave them completely. It was to come and learn and go back. And it was extremely sad because I was only 15. And I remember my friends gave me this teddy bear and they all wrote stuff on it. And I would cry every day for the first year and just cry on that teddy bear and just miss them and miss so much my culture and my friends. And, not knowing the language definitely was a huge barrier because I think I'm so social that it was so hard to not be able to communicate with people and have a lot of friends. So that was definitely hard for me. But, little by little, you just find those people that really, really make an impact on your life and help you out.
And so I'm going to throw this back at Nora and or anybody else, but how were you able to find that support coming to the US and finding whether it's a mentor or sponsor? How were you able to find that? And what advice would you give to other people that are coming, to the United States?
Thank you, Julissa. And I think that I was lucky in a way that I have created a network initially, but it was hard. It was hard to find, the right path. At moments I was, debating, should I really continue with medicine? I mean, if I have to restart all over, I did have my credentials, but the importance of demonstrating your credentials. It's not just that you have letters following your name. So I created that network, but I worked very hard. I mean, I worked really hard on
finding people that were able to guide me. And interestingly, 20 years later, I found myself in the same position that those people that are guiding me. I mean, now people call me to get some guidance and what to do. I recently spoke with a physician that was coming from Argentina here, and it was kind of it reminds me and said, oh, 20 years ago, I was on the same shoes that you are right now. And I had, I started connecting her with everybody because I felt that now is my time to give to somebody else that, as I received from other people. So I was excited. I was excited about being in a different role right now. But we all are here because we have a common thing, as you said, Julissa. We have worked very hard. And Vanessa said, there are opportunities here. So many people say that. I mean, you plant a seed, but you need to, keep, taking care of that seed and watering it, but here you can do it. That's what many of us probably felt many times.
So, I agree. And thank you both thank you all for sharing your stories so far. I think that it's very important for everybody to hear these uncharted waters because, I'm not sure that everybody understands leaving your country and coming to the US. And quite a bit of you have said the language barrier, which I also have encountered. I came here at 5 years old, not speaking any English. So I still have a little bit of a language barrier. But that takes me to my next question. And this is going back to one of the things that you said, Vanessa, earlier, that you said, should I be here? Is this something that I'm going to do? There's this thing called in the US that some people that are highly successful and high achieving, just such as yourselves, there's a phenomenon called imposter syndrome. And again, it's for high achieving people and who often doubt their abilities and find it difficult to accept their accomplishments. How, during your rise to where you are now, because obviously you are successful people, how were you able to overcome this imposter syndrome? And did you have it to begin with?
Well, Julissa, I can certainly speak to that. And for me, it was more on the cultural sense of imposter syndrome. As we all know, coming to the US as an immigrant is always very difficult. You're always challenged by either cultural or social norms, and you're either going to fit in according to certain cultural attributes, or you simply don't. So this takes me back, way back, when I was in middle school. I realized that I was perceived to be a Chicana, which, as most of you know, a Chicana is someone who is of Mexican descent, but was born in the US. When my friends would ask me if I was, I would simply share with them that I was actually born in Mexico. And when I did that, I recall that I did it with such a great sense of pride. Born in Mexico, I know Spanish, but it was very surprising and actually very disappointing for me, because as soon as I would tell them that, my friends were quickly advising me, please don't say that. Simply because people would immediately know that I was an immigrant, and they didn't care whether I was here legally or not. So just thinking back, during those times, that really instilled a great level of fear in me, because although my family and I were at that time still on a legal visa permit, we were still working through the different channels and challenges in the process of obtaining our permanent residency. So, they said that certain people would automatically classify me as an undocumented immigrant, and that simply it's not going to, would not serve me well. I can still recall some of the conversations with those friends, and they really started to convince me in believing that I would never get proper recognition, no matter how smart I was, no matter my achievements. So I remember the peer pressure being so intense. I mean, I was, probably 12, 13 at the time. And so it was so intense. And I just, at that time, obviously, as any teenager, you desperately wanted to fit in. So for me, this started paving that that imposter syndrome. I would always fear that someone would eventually call me out, put me on the spot, or simply, assume that my success in school or in anything I was doing was simply because I was perceived to be someone that I was not. So how I learned to combat those feelings was simply to continue studying and learning as passionate as anyone else, and make every attempt to excel in everything that was given to me at school. So eventually these feelings started to fade away as I continued to mature. And I came to accept the fact that my place in this country was ultimately defined by me staying true to my heritage and my immigrant status, regardless of other people's opinions.
Wow, I really like that. And that's a very touching story. Thank you for that. I think, I don't want to put my 2 cents in. I'd like to open it up to the other panels. But that's a very compelling story that you said, the fact that, people would tell you, don't say that you're not from there. So anybody else want to chime in a little bit on that?
I know that Irma talked a bit. I mean, we all talk a little bit about the language, and then by now everybody hearing to us will definitely notice this weird accent. So nobody, I even say hello, and somebody always asks me, where are you from? So there is with only one word, and some could even identify that I'm originally from Argentina when I say something in Spanish. But so it's interesting because we are recognized differently, whereas it's by the way that we look or by the way that we talk, right? And it happened to all of us, but at different times in our lives. And then that makes different impacts in our life. In regards to where we are coming from, I think as Irma said, it's interesting to keep what belongs to us originally, right? I have kids that I want them to know the traditions, the food, everything that I have when I grew up. So, but they were born here, and then we keep acculturating, but at the same time we keep what we think. I would say we keep the best of both cultures, right?
Absolutely. And so that takes me a little bit to, that's actually a great segue to the next question, right? Because we talked about how Irma, you talked about how people would give you this advice. Nora, you did the same. So how did you guys, did you have any sort of role models or mentors or sponsors or anybody that you looked up to that really helped you pave the way to where you are now?
Oh, I'm back. I would say something about role models because it's interesting, at least it was for me, because it's in an academic, world, there's a lot of pressure, right? So I needed to find role models and mentors that were as passionate as I am. I actually don't have a particular role model. I have many role models, and most of them are coming usually from my friends, my families, my colleagues. And I don't think those are famous people, but they're good and mentors to me. They are great role models to me. Many of the role models are people that have experienced similar stuff that I'm experiencing right now. So I look at those women that are very successful and powerful, and that the journey that they have been, as you said, Julissa, initially, we all have been through that, and I'm curious about how they got there. So I'm taking pieces of all the people that can guide me in that way. So I'm looking at all those women, but everybody that can help me out with things that I still not quite sure and have not figured it out.
Well, thank you, Nora. I think that's such an important thing to have mentors and sponsors. And I like to throw this one back at Vanessa, because some of the things that she said earlier, I feel resonated with this question, is your role models, and how did they help you during your path? Not only that, they helped you, and what is your recommendation for helping other people that are coming, paving their own path as well?
So I will say that for me, I had, just like Nora, I have had so many mentors. I have mentors everywhere. Everywhere I go, I find someone that I'm like, I want that of that person. I want to do this. I want to do that. And try to like make that, you know, of that little circle of I want this from this person, this from this person, this from this person. So I feel that because of how open I am to learn, I feel like people can want to teach you more. So I always say, be open, be ready to learn, be a little sponge all the time, no matter what, because everybody can bring something to you. Everybody can bring something to help you be better. So I would say that, like my mentors just have changed. And what I do now is I love growing nurses. I love growing those ED nurses, those brand new nurses. I love having first-time students. I love having brand new nurses. I love teaching somebody how to do charge, and I'll sit with them and I'll say, let me show you how I used to do it and what I liked and what I didn't like. And you can kind of pick and choose what you want. And then my other thing is I'm very much any patient that's Spanish speaking, I really just melt. Anybody that needs me, I melt for them because I don't want anybody to go through what I went through. And, I have had a lot of cases with patients that only speak Spanish that maybe just came, maybe they don't know their options, maybe they don't know where they can go and get care. And I really invest in them. And I know that they might just see me for a little bit, an ED visit can be for 3 hours, but you would be so surprised a difference that you can make on someone for 3 hours of their life when they came to you because it was for them, it was their worst day and you're there on their worst day, just helping them. And, I became a SANE nurse to help that Spanish speaking community because in Collin County, when I was doing that SANE nursing, which is a sexual assault nurse examiner, I was the only Spanish speaking SANE nurse at that time. And I got called in so many different cases and I just wanted to help. And I feel that any little interaction that you can have with someone, it might be at work, it might be outside of work, it might be a friend, you can be somebody's mentor and you wouldn't even know.
That's very true. That's so true. I do want to open up the forum to a poll. And so the poll, please feel free to, this is an anonymous poll, just so everybody knows. And it is, what is your experience in migrating to the United States? And so you'll see a couple of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 options. And this is just really to get a feeling of, our audience. So again, this is very, this is confidential. We're not sharing your name or anything like that, but we would love to hear your thought, or would love for you to participate in this poll. And so I think it is now live and you should be able to see it in either the comments and or chat. And so while we wait for those polls, I do have a question for you, Irma.
Yes.
So we all know that, I think we all mentioned, including myself, that coming to America comes with its challenges. I, for one, probably my biggest challenge was the language barrier. Having to translate for my parents till I was, probably well into my teens, probably until I graduated college. I had to study fast. I had to learn how to speak English, whether I liked it or not. And so my question to you is, coming to America comes with its challenges. And how do you stay true to your authenticity while simultaneously navigating the ins and outs of being in the United States?
Well, that has definitely been a challenge throughout my entire, life. As you mentioned, I was, a child. I was 7 when we immigrated and came to the United States. So most definitely that language barrier was at the forefront, right, of my first challenge. I still recall in elementary school, and I was actually 7 and I was already in 2nd grade in Mexico, but, just coming brand new, I was actually placed back in 1st grade, right? Because I didn't have the English speaking at all, although I had already, progressed to 2nd grade in Mexico. And I recall having just certain conversations with, with the teachers that, some of them obviously I couldn't understand, but there was one key teacher that just, would take his time with me. And I gathered, now that I recall, is he saw the potential in me. But the biggest, challenge was the language barrier, and he tried and tried so often to pull me to the side and, work with me on pronunciation. And the easiest of all words, I could not pronounce for him. The easiest, a 3-letter word, yes. And I recall, having him just sit down with me and just working with me. And it took me a good while to pronounce yes, obviously to the level of his satisfaction. So, and I still remember, because that experience actually made me cry. And so I guess, he felt very, very bad when he did that. But to your point, I think what he taught me was, I eventually got it. I eventually was able to pronounce the word, but I remember him telling me, all you have to do is be yourself. You will learn the word. You will learn to say yes, but just give yourself time, be yourself at all times, and just be very, very patient.
That's such great advice. And this is a little bit of a deeper question that I'm also going to open up to all of you. Oh, I got the poll results. Give me just 1 second. But going back to what you were saying, Irma, right? So this is for everybody. And what is your perspective on why there's a lack of whether women, men, diversity, Latinos, Latinas, African Americans, in healthcare, in high healthcare positions, and what can we do to address that?
I'll take the first part, but because in the healthcare system, I see it all the time, and in particular, like I said, in academic institutions too. We need to address diversity, period. Right? I mean, we are talking about Latinas today, but we need to address diversity. I think that's the main thing. It seems that we need to always demonstrate that we are good. So hopefully will be a time that we will look good and we don't need to demonstrate constantly that we are good. I think we need to keep working hard. All of us are extremely passionate and dedicated to what we wanted to do. And that's what that takes women to those positions. I feel that we need to work in things like this, like NALHE. I mean, talking about things that we sometimes don't talk. And events like this will take us to certain, places. Everybody that is listening today, it has something that it will take home, hopefully, to continue this journey all together. Hopefully, many of the people that are listening are, in similar situations that we were or we are right now. So I think it is, we all are responsible for this, and we all need to work together and to work hard.
Thank you for that. Am I on mute? No? Great. I just lost my little panel somehow. So no, I appreciate that, Nora. I think that you bring up a really good point. And in doing so, as you reflect on your journey of coming to America and creating your American dream, what are your experiences that you value the most and have made you who you are today?
I can take that one, Julissa. Back to my teenage years, because so many experiences, throughout that time. But one of my most memorable experiences was I was actually in high school by then, and it was the time when I needed to serve as a key witness at our family court hearing. So as I mentioned earlier, my family and I faced many different challenges as we were going through the immigration process. While my parents brought us to the US on a legal visa permit, they obviously further sought out an attorney that actually promised them to help obtain their permanent residency. Their dreams suddenly faded when they realized the attorney did not come through for them, but yet he kept their very hard-earned money and very important documents. So at that point, there was nowhere for my parents to turn for assistance because they just feared of being sent back to Mexico. So eventually they received, the family received a notification from Immigration Services, which at that point, immigration offered them two options. Either you voluntarily leave the country and just basically sign whatever rights they had at the time, or get another attorney, and hopefully that attorney could help you get a court hearing, so in front of a judge, and so the judge can review the family case. And I remember I was in high school, and I just felt that the family attorney placed such a huge responsibility on me. I must have been about maybe 16 or so. My part was to help convince this judge, to let us remain in the US. So I can still remember the conversation with our attorney during the preparation time for that court hearing. And what he said to me was, Irma, I need you as a key witness. You will need to share with the judge why you and your family deserve to stay in the US.
Wow.
And he said, what's going to help your case is that you need to share all of your educational accomplishments, but you also need this to be very, very impactful. It needs to be a compelling plea, and it needs to be full of emotion. So he said, if need be, young lady, I want to see tears. And I still remember that. So as I thought about his advice, the night before we were going to the court hearing, I came to the realization that if I would have resorted to an emotional and just tearful plea, I was probably not going to have the judge, hear me out. Obviously, was not going to have the opportunity to convince the judge not only of my accomplishments, but those of my family. And, also my dream to continue on to college and become someone successful. I just desperately wanted the judge to hear those plans, plans that I had for my life, as well as my educational dreams. It was a very intense situation. As I knew our fate was going to be determined by this judge, but also I had a little bit of responsibility in it. Thankfully, the judge at the end was very, very complimentary of the progress the family and I had made. And she was, she recommended we be granted permanent residency. But, this experience will forever remain with me because it has been one that has taught me to always be yourself and just be as authentic as you can be, no matter the circumstances. But more importantly, it taught me not to make the hero of my story a victimized role, but rather do everything you can to portray an individual that feels very secure about her abilities, her skills, her talents, even if on the inside you're aching, for empathy, sympathy, what have you. You have to rise above and beyond that. You really do.
You're absolutely right, Irma. I think that, not having the victim mentality and moving forward and having perseverance and just pushing through is really what gets us through. That takes me a little bit to the next one. What are those experiences? And you almost answered it, right? And I'd like to open it up to Nora and Vanessa, just to add on to Irma's answer. What are those experiences and or behaviors that you would like to see eliminated, that you experience, just like you said, Irma, that you don't want others to experience?
Well, for me, I was 15, like I said, when I came, and I was also kind of like Irma. I was actually in 10th grade But when I came, they put me down 1 grade to 9th grade because of the language barrier, which I never understood that, but that's what they did. So what I would say is a little bit of the humiliation that we take, that's what I will want to remove from anybody that experiences that. I remember we were in English class, and the school that I went to didn't have any ESL classes. So they had to put me just with the regular students, even though I didn't speak a word of English. So that already was traumatizing enough, not being able to really understand or communicate with anybody or make friends. But I wanted to learn so bad because I had my grandma right here in the back of my head going like, you can do this, you can do it. Even though she was so far away, I knew that I could do that. So they would read paragraphs, and it would be like, this person reads this paragraph. I don't know if that happens in every school. And you would go all around the classroom. And then when it was my turn, of course, I had no idea. So I was just trying. I would just be like, I don't even remember. And people would just start laughing. And then I would feel so heartbroken. And I would be like, I'm just trying. And it was so sad. And I always said, if I could take one pain away from my whole experience, will be that if somebody's trying, don't make fun of them. If someone is trying, don't make them feel like they're not good enough. They're trying. That alone is so courageous. So I would always say that I have always supported anybody that tries in anything. It can be a language, it can be a job, it could be anything. Always support each other. As long as you have that eagerness and that drive, support them. And that's the one thing that I will take away from anybody. Don't ever make fun of anybody that is really trying to speak the language. And, I still get nervous speaking. My accent still goes crazy sometimes, or I speak super, super fast when I'm nervous. and and all you want to know is like maybe see a nod. You don't want to see somebody, doing this or making fun of you, because it brings you down. And I think that that's the thing that I would want to take away.
Well, thank you for that. I think we can all probably relate to that. We did get back the poll. So if maybe perhaps Tiffany or Lori. Okay, so this was the poll that we got, and this is right prior to our last question. So what is your experience in migrating to the United States? 13% of you said migrated as an adult. 24 of you said you migrated as a child. And 22 of you percent, which is 40%, is your first generation. Second generation is 11%, and third generation is 13%. So thank you very much for sharing that. We wanted to do that poll because I think it's very important for all of us to understand that when you're first generation, second generation, third generation, there's a different flow of things. So we do appreciate that. And it was anonymous. None of your names were shared. So thank you for that. And we are about to open up. We have about like 5 minutes, and we're going to open it up to Q&A. We've got some really good questions that I've gotten on the side here. My last question, and this goes for all the panelists here, is what advice would you have for other courageous people migrating to the US, whether they're Hispanic or any class? What advice would you give them about making their way to the US and looking to carve their own way? And I'm going to add a little bit onto that. What resources did you have that helped your path?
I can start, Julissa. As I reflect on my journey of coming to America, I understand that, as with any new experience, it's going to be frightful at first. It's very different. It's a new country. But my advice to every Latina would be just simply to harness the passion they have for their dreams. This is not only going to, help drive their courage and motivation, but will also provide them just a greater sense of, self-confidence as they come in to this new country to start pursuing their opportunities, whether these, include a new educational path, a different career, or just simply a renewed commitment of personal growth. Again, as I look back at my own journey, I embraced all of the different resources that were available to me. Starting with the school, my college education, my professors, and all of the mentors that have, crossed my life. I took every opportunity to continue improving, obviously, my English speaking skills, and also my understanding of every educational experience. I truly embraced the mentoring, the coaching afforded to me throughout the years. But more importantly, I have never stopped believing that I could keep reaching for higher achievements. I learned to stop making excuses, or simply stop spending too much energy on certain distractions, such as trying to convince certain people of my self-worth. You always need to be your own cheerleader, the best cheerleader in your own life. And what I've learned, especially these last few years, is that the more you honor the commitments you make for yourself, they will eventually transform into continued success, whether they are, family, career, or personal goals. Your never-ending growth and perseverance will always, always be the key to your success.
Oh goodness, Irma, that was so great. No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I would like to hear from Vanessa and Nora as well.
I think
Can I have
well, go ahead, Vanessa.
Okay. Yeah. I was like, how can I follow Irma? That was amazing. That was amazing. So what I would say, and mine, it's kind of very simple. I feel like just make sure you're open, be humble, take every opportunity that comes your way. Go to school, learn, like just be like a little sponge. Be resilient. When one door closes, another one will open. I promise you, it will open. I know that, at least for me in my own journey, I know that sometimes it feels like I have to work so much harder to prove myself. I feel like maybe when people in nursing school were reading the book and just getting it like that, I was like reading it 3 times to make any kind of sense. And it was like, no, why? Why do I have to work so much harder? Embrace it. Take it in. Just do it. You know what? I wouldn't have these opportunities in Colombia. I have them here. Even if I have to work a little harder, who cares? I'm going to get there. It might take me a little longer, but I will get to the same place. So I just say, be humble, be open, learn, and always think, what can I do next?
I love that.
I don't think I have more words to that, but but I do think that we, in the last hour, we all mentioned multiple times same words. I mean, we said passionate, being passionate about something, so that will take you really far. Being dedicated, look for opportunities, be humble. One of the things I remember one of my mentors gave me was an article about self-promotion. I mean, that you need to work on your own to reflect on what your path is, to where you want to go, find mentors that can guide you in that path. But yes, those are the words. I think it is being passionate and being patient too, right? I mean, we need to, it took us a long time to get to where many of us are right now, but I think it's same words.
I love all your responses. No, they're very great. I heard a lot of don't be a victim, go out there, learn, be a sponge, take as much as you can in, and do the best that you can do. And at the end, you've been trying so hard that I don't think that there's any, what I've seen with you women is that there's actually you're not fearless of failing. You just keep persevering. And, it was interesting. So before we open this up to a Q&A, so today we had a firm-wide, at my firm, a firm-wide meeting. And one of the things, our CEO is a woman, Jill Boardman, and one of the things that she said was, this year's, I'm sure everybody knows that this year's theme for women is choose to challenge. And one of the things that she said that was so touching was, if there's not a room at the table, you make room at the table. You sit at that table. You don't ask for permission. You go and you question the status quo. And that is the one thing that, in speaking to, the panel is what I found very inspiring. And so thank you very much for, taking the time to be on the panel and giving, sharing your stories with us. I do want to open it up to Q&A. And so, we do have about 10, 15 minutes of Q&A. And let me just go ahead and open this up. We had some good questions that I think may have already been answered. So I do want to be conscious of time. We are about 27 minutes out, and this does end at 7:30. So, one of the questions was, what has been your big, and this was anonymous attendee. I love anonymous attendees because they probably ask the hardest questions. So one of them was, what has been your biggest struggle professionally?
I can just say one simple thing that for me was the reciprocity about the credentials. That was pretty hard. I mean, I was an MD in Argentina, and then coming here, I had to go back. I did mention that before, but I have to go back and study almost all over again. And that was a struggle at the beginning. I found a way, and I follow all the words that we already mentioned. So, but that was one of probably the biggest struggle at the beginning. And then the other thing, as a physician, another struggle was to adjust to the culture of being a physician here. I mean, we have it's a different culture, different norms, different patterns of things. So I used to spend a lot of time with my patients. And the patients were waiting long times, to have their own long time with me. And then I had to cut the time, and when even right now, patients that can speak with me in Spanish, then they feel more comfortable, of course. So then, it's okay, we'll have more time. Well, no, it's half an hour already. And I wish I could have, an hour to talk with them. So that was also a very difficult thing. And then another interesting thing is that we hug, we hug, we kiss, and then here at the beginning was like, hello, hello, Dr. Gibble, hello, and I was like, hey, hello. So that was hard.
I bet. I mean, especially you being a physician and coming here, 20 years ago. So I can't even imagine. Like I said, I think I came here, I was born here and came here, taken to Mexico, and then brought back right before I started school. And I think Irma also, started here at 7 years old, and Vanessa at 15. And so that kind of segues into the next question, which I thought was very good that somebody asked, which was, what advice would you give for someone struggling in their career in a male-dominated world? Don't everybody speak at once. I actually would like to hear, I think this is a very great question. So who wants to take the first stab at this? Irma, I feel like you're on.
No, I'm on the spot, right? I'm not on mute. So what advice would I give someone struggling in their career currently? Wow.
In a
male-dominated world.
Yes.
Yes. So many things I could say, obviously, and obviously as a human resources executive, this is a loaded question. My advice is just to, just continue, pursuing the biggest challenge actually that you are currently facing right now, right? Just continue to confront that challenge. But I think my advice would be to confront it, yes, but not be very defensive, right? Not be very defensive, confront it and just work through the challenge in, in your current career, but also seek out networking opportunities. Also reach out to a lot of your counterparts, female counterparts, right? Reach out to your female counterparts and have that uncomfortable discussion, right? That's, to me, that's, that would be my biggest advice to someone. It is very, very uncomfortable and very awkward to just put yourself out there. But, one obviously has to be very careful, but reach out to your female counterparts and just look for that support. Because at the end of the day, yes, I mean, we still do have, certain male-dominated, industries, but uplifting each other as women is definitely key these days. That's what my advice would be.
I think that's correct. I think that's a very good advice. I am talking to inspiring and high successful women. And so one of the things that I do is I also go and find mentors and sponsors that not only are women, but also men that come from a diverse background that can help me navigate this world. And so another one of a good question that we just received was, don't all speak at once. I'm just saying on this question, okay? So what career mistakes have provided you the biggest lessons?
I can take that one. Look, why am I not putting myself on mute? I do have a career mistake, absolutely, that obviously, provided me a huge lesson. And that was a time when I was promoted to management, level. And the promotion came, unfortunately, out of a tragic loss for my direct leader. It was overnight. So our vice president at the time obviously came to me because she knew that I was obviously her right hand and I knew all the ins and outs of the department. So she comes to me and asks, what do I think she needs to do? And I went, kind of around basically telling her, well, I know what to do. I helped my leader that just recently passed away to manage the department. So you probably don't necessarily need to bring in a new director. And basically she looks at me and she says, why don't you just tell me you want the job? Mm-hmm. And I looked at her and I said, well, I want the job. So, so really that was great, but the mistake, exactly, but the mistake I made soon after, while everybody was very supportive, because again, this just happened, all of a sudden, and everybody was cheering on for me. Eventually that faded, and some of the people started questioning my abilities. And so that landed me in a very, very confrontational situation where I felt the need to defend my position. I felt the need to stand up for my abilities and so forth and so on. My VP eventually got a hold of that confrontation, and she had a separate meeting with each one of us. But she looked at me and said, your biggest mistake was that you were trying to defend something that you didn't need to defend. You are well aware of your abilities. I'm well aware of them. I would not have put you in this role. So lesson learned.
I love that, because I think sometimes me and Irma, your responses, I don't know how anybody can follow up, but no, you are right on point. I think that sometimes we do defend ourselves, right? And when we don't need to. Right. And there's another question that just came up that is, wow. Again, Irma, put yourself on mute. So this is another question that I think it's for everybody, but I thought it was very, very intriguing. So one of them is, as a white female born in the United States, what would you say is the top way I can help you or those coming to the United States now?
I'm going to take piece of that, but I want to also say something that to follow Irma, that you know that there is some research about how many times we say sorry, you know, when we interrupt or when we go or we come late to a meeting. Well, women said more times sorry than men usually. So that's another lesson learned, that when you put yourself there. So we could stop doing that. That's something to take.
You're absolutely right. We need to stop saying that and start saying, thank you for your patience.
Exactly. You said, thank you. Thanks for waiting for me.
Exactly.
That's a different, that sorry, I'm late. So then you always put yourself there.
You bring such a good point. And what, you know, the question was prior to is, you know, being in a male dominated profession, they speak differently. And so do we. We use exclamation points. We're happy people. We communicate. You know, one of the things that I learned today was that I believe women on average say close to 20,000 words a day, while males say 7. So what does that tell you about our communication style? I don't know.
Unless we gossip more, I don't know.
I do really like this question. As a white female born in the United States, what would you say is a top way that I can help you or those coming to the United States now?
Well, I'll take this one since I haven't taken any. So I feel that the best way that anyone can help each other, and it's not only, you know, one race specific, but I would say to be open, be patient with anybody that comes. Um, Nobody's here intentionally. Nobody comes to this country to do harm or is not in their brain to do something bad. They come to live an American dream that we all in our countries have been taught and have been looked at. Over there in the United States, you can make money, you can have a job. That's why we're here. You can be successful. So we all come here with so many dreams and so many hopes. And when we don't have anybody that can support us, we can crash really fast. So just support us, just be there for us, just be patient when we can't understand. Don't tell us you need to learn English here in America. Say, how can I help you? So that's what I would say that would be the best thing.
Oh, I loved your answer. And I really like the person that actually, you know, answered this. So Irma, Nora, do you have any input on that question? It's such a powerful question. And I'll tell you why, because, you know, preview to this, we had an idea of who our audience was. And so that question is just so powerful, that somebody is so authentic to say, hey, what can I do to help you and people that are coming here? So I love that authenticity.
I love that question, and I'll second what Vanessa said, and I would also say that many white people like you, the person Christine, the person that wrote the question, many people like you helped me. So I'm so grateful for that, and I think it being open-minded and being in, like Vanessa said. Try not to judge, you know, and prejudge, and try to understand, you know, the goals of people that are coming. I think I'm very grateful for the people that helped me, and I'm passing the same to others. I think just by asking this question, I can see that you're already open-minded. So that's fantastic.
I love that. And so we are at 7:17. So we have 13 minutes, and we had so many questions that were so great. Somebody said, I don't have a question. I'm just shouting at the screen. Thank you all so much for what you've said. And I absolutely love that, because I don't think that everybody has a sense of, you know, somebody leaving their country and coming to America. And it's so important for people to hear those stories. And so before I turn it over, my last question to all of you, nice and brief, is well, that was my phone. What would we just had a whole hour plus of speaking to each other. What would you like people to walk away with from this webinar?
Oh, I can start. As you've said, obviously we shared a lot. We were very, open, very vulnerable. I myself was a little hesitant at first, right? Because a lot of people, don't necessarily know my story, but I want people to walk away knowing that although I shared with all of you a piece of my history, a piece of my story, it's just not my story. I just happen to share the story of many, many women. The story of many women that, have gone through the same thing I have. So that really lifted me up and really gave me the courage, obviously, to stand here and just to be as vulnerable as I don't necessarily like to be sometimes. So I knew I had to share my story because it's not only mine. It's the story of many, many women.
Well said.
What I want people to take from today is inspiration. I think if we all got inspired by all sharing the stories, sharing the questions, sharing the reflections, then that will empower us. And hopefully all of us got empowered to continue.
Yeah.
And I would say what I want people to take is that everything is possible. You can do anything you put your heart and your mind to it. We all come from um, different places and different struggles, and we all had our struggles. And like Irma said, we all literally come from I'm not only telling my story, I'm telling so many other people's stories that looks like mine, and we went through the same thing or very alike. So just know, do not give up. Work hard, and you will make it, just like we all have. And take our stories as an inspiration that everything's possible. We all came here without knowing the language. We all came here with nobody, no family, and even if you come with family, you already have one up. If you come learning the language, you already have another one up. So you can go even farther than everyone in this room.
So, wow, really, I'm looking at the Q&A, and it's very interesting because as you continue speaking, we keep getting questions, and not only questions, we keep getting these comments. I just want, before we close off, one, thank you, Irma, Nora, and Vanessa, for your authenticity. I know it's not always easy to come on these panels and virtual panels and be so authentic and tell your story, because I understand that it's a very personal thing. And again, I thank you for your authenticity, for your perseverance, and for being inspiring to other women. And I will leave you with some of these comments before I close it off and send it off to Heather. So Heather, please bear with me. I want to leave it with this. Empowering women is what we got on the chat. Another one is, thank you for sharing your amazing stories. We are leaving truly inspired. The other one is, where you started in life isn't where you ended. So again, thank you three for your time and for your stories. I, for one, have left very inspired, as a lot of people on this chat have done so as well. And so I will now hand it over to Heather for our closing comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Julissa. Hi, everyone. My name is Heather Elliott, and I am one of the co-chairs for the Education Committee for the NALHE DFW chapter. I've got a few announcements, but before I get into those, first and foremost, I want to welcome you to our NALHE family. And second of all, I want to thank you for joining the National Association of Latino Healthcare Executives DFW chapter event. And wow, that was an emotional event. I loved every minute of it, and I'm just so excited to be part of this tonight. So if you like what you saw tonight, I definitely urge you to go follow National Association of Latino Healthcare Executives. So that's at National Association of Latino Healthcare Executives, and also hashtag NALHE DFW. And that's gonna allow you to see for more information, more activities coming up in the future, and so on. Going into the announcements, the first announcement that I have for you is, and you saw it earlier, we are having a raffle tonight. So in order to enter the raffle, you want to take a picture and post it to your LinkedIn. Make sure to tag the National Association of Latino Healthcare Executives and hashtag NALHE and also hashtag NALHE DFW. And that's going to enter you into a raffle to win this. So earlier today, Elia Calderon was one of our keynote speakers, and you're going to enter that raffle, and it's going to give you a chance to win a copy of her book, My Time to Speak. And I can tell you from personal experience, this was a really great read. I enjoyed it from the first page to the last page. You don't want to miss out on that. Great book. And the second announcement that I have is I do have the pleasure announcing that tomorrow, I hope you guys are ready for this. Tomorrow, the NALHE DFW magazine will be released. So I cannot wait to hear what you guys think of it, all of your thoughts regarding that. And that magazine, I'm telling you, a lot of hard work and passion went into that magazine. I know passion was a thing we talked about tonight, and hard work. Both of those things went into making this magazine. It's going to highlight leaders in our DFW community, as well as our successes in 2020. So with that, I hope you all have a wonderful evening. I'm going to pass it over to Lori. You'll have a wonderful night. Buenas noches.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to say thank you. And I hope you get more involved by joining our many activities that we'll be sharing. So you can follow along by using our hashtag NALHE-DFW. I want to thank you so much. And I look forward to you participating and, really becoming integrated into our family. Good night. Buenas noches.
Gracias. Adiós.